Hello, and thanks for joining us. This is To The Point. I'm Luke Clary, in tonight for Alex. Now, we hope you had a great Thanksgiving weekend. And as we look ahead to year-end holidays and holiday shopping, Americans spent a record $9 billion on Black Friday this year. And today, Cyber Monday, spending is expected to top that. After clicking buy, millions of people will be waiting for their packages to arrive, along with those who would plunder them from your front porch. We call them porch pirates. Roxanne Elias met with some of the people working to protect your online purchases from porch pirates and has some simple steps that you can take that would make all the difference.
Holiday packages are on the way to their owners, but as seen before, thieves can prevent that from happening.
These are a lot of things that you're anticipating to give out as gifts. So if someone comes by and steals it, you know, what you've worked hard for and planned for to give to someone else, it can be very disappointing.
The Sacramento Police Department is working on curbing this type of crime. It's known as the Bait Package Program.
We are deploying packages and items that are trackable to residences in an area. So if an individual does steal that package, we can track it and conduct a criminal investigation, identify the people responsible.
The Citrus Heights Police Department is also trying to deter would-be thieves with a similar program baiting criminals. We asked to see video from the programs, but both departments declined to share it, saying it's part of ongoing investigations. Their theft prevention tips include installing a doorbell camera or other home security camera, installing a porch lockbox, having a friend or neighbor collect any packages when you're not home, scheduling the delivery for when you will be home, or scheduling delivery to a storefront location or package locker. We also reached out to FedEx, UPS, Amazon, and the United States Postal Inspection Service. With most of these, you're able to track your package up until it's delivered. Sacramento Police are firmly asking criminals to think twice before robbing someone of their Christmas cheer.
Don't do it in terms of the criminal side of it too. You could be facing charges. And also the human element of it is that you're taking a gift away from someone else that might be someone's Christmas present.
All right, let's talk about the University of California academic workers strike. It's now in its third week as 48,000 workers across the state demand higher wages. And it's getting into crunch time now. Finals are just around the corner. And with post-grad workers joining the picket lines instead of leading their classes, students tell our Kurt Rivera that they're studying overtime to keep up.
On the campus of UC Merced, 19-year-old mechanical engineering student Brian Ixcoy is scrambling to learn all he can with final exams approaching in 2 weeks.
Definitely more studying than what I would usually do. So definitely meeting up with more people and discussing the topics more.
That's because postdoctoral scholars, as well as graduate assistants and researchers who lead discussions on topics and lab work in the classroom, are instead holding picket signs and out on strike. It's no different for students at UC Davis.
Grading, labs, I know for myself, a lot of my labs are impacted.
48,000 are on strike, represented by the United Auto Workers Union. While dozens of tentative agreements have been reached on a number of issues, the key issue related to wages is the largest sticking point.
So right now, graduate workers, graduate TAs, graduate researchers are often paid as little as $24,000 a year as their salaries. And we think this is unacceptable. We need something to be considerably higher.
On the flip side, the UC says its proposals to grad students and academic employees is at the top of the pay scale in comparison to other major public universities. In a statement, the UC says in part, quote, "We are committed to achieving a fair and reasonable contract that honors the important contributions these bargaining unit members make." But for UC Merced students like 19-year-old chemistry major Sadie Kuntz, the end of the strike can't come soon enough.
It has been a little bit harder grasping more of like the more difficult subjects, but I've got lots of friends in classes, so we've been getting together more to study for that.
For a long time, there's been an image of who the hungry are. But the reality is that with inflation and the rising costs of living, the hungry are your neighbors. 1 in 5 people in Sacramento are food insecure, meaning they don't have enough food on the table. Our Van 2 shows us how food banks in the region are meeting the growing demand.
It's a family ritual.
This ritual, every month my little one's asking, "Mommy,
when is the day for the food bank, like this.
Every Saturday, Martha Pacheco and her children help pack food at the food bank of Contra Costa and Solano. It's their way of giving back when their family fell on hard times during the Great Recession in the early 2000s. She remembers it like yesterday.
We lost the house, so we let the house go.
Pacheco says they were able to get back on their feet, but in 2020, again, their family needed a helping hand. When the pandemic forced shutdowns, her husband, a commercial truck driver, lost work.
He called me, hey, this is the last low I have. Everything is closed, the jobs is closed, so we don't know when we start again. So, and the pandemic, again, the food bank is my support.
Even as pandemic restrictions waned, Pacheco is among a record number of families in our area seeking help from food banks, finding themselves living on the edge as the cost of living soars.
Simple. The gas is too expensive.
Inflation driving them to make difficult decisions.
People are living paycheck to paycheck very often. All you have to do is miss 1 or 2 paychecks, and all of a sudden you're trying to decide between paying rent, or buying food.
Joel Solstrom, the food bank of Contra Costa and Solano president, says its recent expansion into a 100,000 square foot warehouse
Come on inside.
comes at a time when families are facing food insecurity at an alarming pace.
We really need to continue to build our capacity because this is going to be here for the next few years, not the next few months.
This trend is not unique. The Sacramento Food Bank also saw increased demand during the height of the pandemic, but spokesman Kevin Buffalino says inflation has hit families harder.
June, July, August was our busiest summer in the history of our organization. So we fed more people throughout those 3 months in that time frame than we have in nearly 50 years.
There are compounding issues that have sent families to the food bank as first-timers in very long distribution lines.
More and more people keep coming through the lines. So yeah, it's very, very uncertain.
Food banks in the region are facing rising costs as well. During the pandemic, federal funding helped buoy food banks, but Buffalino says that money is phased out. Yet the reality remains 1 in 5 Sacramentans are food insecure.
Meaning they're not sure where their next nutritious meal is going to come from. They're not putting enough food on the table.
Officials from the food banks serving Contra Costa, Solano, and Sacramento counties say they're pushing for more help from government agencies.
I think there's an awareness out with our elected officials and the general public about food insecurity that we haven't had maybe ever. And so with that, we anticipate good legislation, USDA, federal, state support.
Meantime, they say community donations have been vital to helping feed families in need. For every dollar donated to the food bank, they are able to feed 5 families.
Coming up after the break, we did some digging and found that there's clearly a misunderstanding about what actually can be recycled. We're going to be getting it all sorted when we come back. Welcome back. The To The Point team did a little experiment. We dug through your recycling at a sorting center and found some things that were there that shouldn't be. Things like jeans, printers, and coffee makers. Now, as we head into the holidays, ask yourself before putting your wrapping paper into a plastic bag, is this recyclable? Because there's going to be a lot more trash and a lot of people who have to sort it out. Here's Alex.
Oh, it doesn't stink as much as I had anticipated.
Nope. No, this is right here. This is material from all the election stuff.
Oh, this is all election material?
Recycling, the true test of who can follow directions.
It's illegal to put e-waste in the system, and they bag it up, then we got to fight it. This is the devil.
Don't bag your recyclables.
Don't bag it.
Over in North Highlands at Recycling Industries, it doesn't take long to see how many people don't follow directions.
Now, I've only been doing this for about 2-3 minutes. And just look at all the plastic that we've gotten out in just 2 or 3 minutes alone. So just remember, if you're putting stuff in your trash can that shouldn't be there, someone has to get it out. And this place does it for us.
The other devils are rigid wood. Wood's not part of any curbside recycle plan. There's no one's taking wood. And No one's taking your pair of pants either, okay?
Just drop them off at Goodwill.
Your pair of pants,
Just drop them off at Goodwill.
just your pants and your clothes and your towels don't go in the recycle bin. We're not allowed to take toys that are fabric-y, but we can take big plastic toys. But fabric-y, clothy, electronic stuff, it's not supposed to. We get people putting toasters in, and toasters are electronic. Anything electronic that plugs into a wall or batteries, it's not supposed to. We're not supposed to put it in there. No coffee makers.
Come on, guys. What are we doing here in Sac County? Come on. So these are the trucks that are coming in the neighborhoods and stuff, right?
Correct. These are the trucks that come in the residential area, pick it up from the house, dump it, bring it back.
And about how many tons are you guys moving a day?
A day? We're about 150 to 200 tons a day of this. That's what we do. We process all this, and we have to use a lot of equipment to separate bottles, cans, cardboard, paper, and garbage. We can't let the garbage go through.
And that's where hand-to-hand combat comes in, says David.
That's just today.
So you can't do anything with that?
That gets landfill.
Landfill, that's it?
Yeah, but we have to pull it out by hand.
All this is by hand?
All that's by hand. That's why, that's the tough spot up there. For now, we're still 30% garbage in the bin. Right now it's 30% garbage.
30% garbage in the recycling bin?
Yes.
Is that high?
That's pretty high. Some jurisdictions are very rare getting into the 10s, but in this region, I've tested everything, it's 30%.
What your Christmas wish is when it comes to your recycling Christmas wish.
My Christmas wish would be no more bagged material.
Don't put your wrapping paper in a plastic bag.
That's number one. I want to see that on the graphic there. That. Number two, no more loose plastic film or anything like that. And then number three would be no more e-waste.
No more e-waste.
No more electronic waste.
Don't put your batteries in the recycling.
And then four would be no more wood.
My real question is, do I have a job?
You are hired.
All right, plastic bags, wood, blue jeans, should be pretty easy to figure that out. After the break, an update to 23andMe's DNA testing is giving people a new sense of identity. Welcome back. If you're taking a DNA test to learn more about your ancestry, you might want to check your results again because a new update has changed some customers' information. Testing companies have been working to improve a deficiency that makes some people's results less accurate and less specific than others. Becca Habegger followed two women's journeys of discovery for months as they experienced this deficiency firsthand.
What makes up someone's identity?
I don't really know much about my life before I was adopted from an orphanage in Wuzhou, China.
What makes you, you?
All my life, a lot of people misidentify me as Filipino.
Is it family?
My answer has always been very complicated because my two moms are my real parents. It's just not even a question.
Is it genetics?
My mom is Vietnamese, 100%, and my dad is 100% Japanese, to our knowledge. So it should be somewhere roughly 50-50.
Justine Bellari of Rockland and Catalina de la Peña, who lives in Sacramento when she's not attending college in New York, have each taken the 23andMe DNA test to learn more about their respective families' genetic history.
I've been wanting to take one ever since I was little.
Catalina took the test last year.
Most people, they know their birth story, they know how they came to be. The one thing that I'll probably always think about for the rest of my life is my birth parents and where they are now, or if they think about me ever.
Adopted as a baby from China, she hoped the results would give her information about the biological family and past she's never known.
I was just kind of expecting I was going to be Chinese. I probably thought maybe I'd have 15% Korean.
But what she learned,
the results were so insane. I really wasn't expecting it at all.
Rocked her sense of identity.
It said I was 85% Vietnamese and then 15% different parts of Chinese. I already felt like a fraud almost in my culture. I couldn't really connect to my Chinese heritage at all growing up, especially growing up in the Midwest, and it was very white, so I just didn't, I think, connect to my culture as much as I would have liked to. When I got the test results back, it felt like the death of my culture all over again. And I was like, oh my God, I don't even know anything about being Vietnamese.
She documented her feelings for a college project she named The Death of My Chinese Self and Rebirth.
I think I'm still kind of trying to process what that means to me.
We just took the test just for funsies.
Justine took the 23andMe test 2 years ago. Her results also came with a surprise. She was 50% Vietnamese as expected, but only 41.5% Japanese.
And then there was this 8% like Filipino. It was interesting because a lot of people, they ask if I'm Filipino, and I'm just like, oh no, like, no, I'm not. I'm half Vietnamese, half Japanese, but I guess I am.
And now that Justine and her husband are expecting their first child, this family history is knowledge they can pass along to their daughter.
I'm very proud to be Japanese and Vietnamese. Adding another country in there for me was exciting. Like, yeah, I'm Filipino too.
But these tests have limits. How specific and accurate your results are depends on where your ancestors are from.
When you spit into a tube and send it to a testing company, your DNA is compared to a pool of people with known ancestry called a reference population.
It's looking at who are you genetically similar to.
Dr. Graham Coop is a human evolutionary geneticist and UC Davis professor. He says the specificity and accuracy of someone's results boils down to the testing company's reference population.
If a particular area of the world they don't have a lot of reference individuals from, you won't actually be able to tell whether someone's from that area of the world. Areas which are better covered in their databases, they'll have more granular information about ancestry.
Knowing that different companies have different reference populations,
it's so interesting to know that they can find all that out from spit.
We asked Justine and Catalina if they'd like to take an ancestry DNA test and compare it to their 23andMe results, like Justine's previously unknown Filipino ancestry.
I would be interested to see if that does show up as well.
Okay, so I'm gonna spit into the tube.
Then we packaged up their samples and sent them off for testing.
Very, very interesting.
The Ancestry DNA test results came back in less than a month.
Yeah.
For Catalina,
56% Vietnamese.
Some significantly different numbers.
I guess my first thought immediately is I'm less Vietnamese than I originally thought. Saying I'm like 85% Vietnamese to like saying I'm half Vietnamese, half Chinese is definitely a lot to process.
Wow, okay.
Justine's Ancestry DNA test results included a total surprise.
So the 23andMe said I was 50% Vietnamese. Ancestry says I'm 30% Vietnamese, which is very interesting. It says I'm 44% Japanese, which kind of aligns with the 23andMe. 10% Filipino, so I am apparently Filipino. And then it says I am 13% Southern China. So I'm Japanese, Vietnamese, Chinese, Filipino. That's a lot of things I didn't know I was. The whole being Filipino was shocking when I found that out. Adding in Chinese, that's even more shocking.
We reached out to both companies to ask about the differing results.
These are estimates based on reference populations, and those reference populations are typically different from one company to the next.
Sam Ancona Esselman is a 23andMe product scientist. She says people with ancestry traceable to island nations like Japan and the Philippines tend to be easier to pinpoint.
A population that's lived on an island for centuries or millennia is typically going to be a lot easier to identify as a distinct population just because of that geographic isolation than a population that, maybe is in the middle of a continent and has had a lot of kind of migration going through it.
Because of extensive migration, she said, China proved to be more of a challenge for 23andMe scientists.
China, we knew that there was work to be done.
So they drilled down into a recent study and rolled out an update with more specific genetic populations within China, an update that changed the original results for Catalina.
The updated results from 23andMe are more similar to my original ancestry DNA results.
Instead of 85% Vietnamese, as 23andMe originally reported, Catalina's results now show 63% Vietnamese and more than 20% from the southern Chinese province of Guangxi. Catalina let us share this with 23andMe's scientist.
That's pretty cool to see that she has that really specific ancestry, and Guangxi is actually closer to Vietnam and kind of historically might have a little bit more of that shared genetic ancestry with Vietnam.
We took Ancona Esselman's answers back to Catalina.
The update that 23andMe have done is really great. It's really interesting how reference populations can really just affect your results.
Which brings
brings us back to the question of identity.
It'd be great to get more accurate results on the first time, but I'm really grateful for that because it has helped me realize that identity is something that everyone, struggles with, and it's something that's very fluid and it can be always changing.
A journey of discovery that goes beyond genetics.
All right, let's take a look at the Gilmore backyard, and these are your current temperatures with 58 degrees right now in Sacramento, 53 degrees in Stockton, 54 in Modesto. As we look ahead to the 10-day forecast, it looks like we've got a couple of nice days left to go before we see some potential rain coming this weekend. That's it for us. Thanks for joining us. You've got an all-new Jeopardy up next. Have a great night.
Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.